Russian and Syrian attacks on the city of Aleppo stop. The ultimatum was made in a phone call between American Secretary of State John Kerry and his counterpart Sergei Lavrov. The US State Department said it's looking into non-diplomatic avenues now for responding to the latest crisis.
Extremist groups will continue to exploit the vacuums that are there in Syria to expand their operations, which will include, no question, attacks against Russian interests, perhaps even Russian cities. And Russia will continue to send troops home in body bags.
Kerry's words didn't go unnoticed by Moscow, with officials calling such comments inappropriate for a diplomat.
Don't you think that such ventriloquism about body bags, terrorist attacks in Russian cities, and loss of aircraft sounds more like a get 'em command rather than a diplomatic comment?
Of course, you can continue to try and convince everyone that they're trying, unsuccessfully, to separate al-Nusra terrorists from the opposition. Once again, I would say that we are fully ready to continue dialogue with our American partners and cooperate in the fight against terrorism in Syria. However, any threats to our servicemen, or even hints of such threats, are absolutely inappropriate in this dialogue.
That's as the US Secretary of State said Russia was responsible for the worsening situation in Syria. The conflict indeed escalated since the US-Russia brokered ceasefire ended violently 2 weeks ago. Hopes for an extension were dashed when Washington then blamed Moscow for an attack on a UN aid convoy. It's an allegation Russia rejects. However, even while the deal was still in force, well over 100 violations have been attributed to the US-backed opposition. One of the biggest rebel groups, ALLLLL, refused to comply with the agreement at all. Atty's going to Chicago asked the State Department why it's insisting Moscow was responsible for the failure of the ceasefire.
Looking at the events that followed the ceasefire, how is it fair to say that Russia is solely responsible for the failure of this deal?
Because, and we've said this many, many times, they have influence on our side. I didn't make that up.
Are you saying that you don't have influence with the rebels?
We do, and so do some of our allies and partners as well.
And if the U.S. does have influence with these rebel groups, why the hundreds of ceasefire violations? Why did that happen?
We have influence over some, not all. We have there are
just rebel group. Refuse to abide by their.
There are other nations that have influence, and again, we have admitted that not all the opposition groups on every single day completely abided by it.
Can you admit that part of the responsibility for the failure of this deal lies with the rebels and with the U.S.?
I think we've been nothing but honest about the fact that there have been violations of the ceasefire and the cessation of hostilities on all sides.
While essentially